This story happened to me and my friend a long time ago, but it left a mark for life. One warm summer evening we were returning from a disco. It was late, pitch black. We didn't go the usual way, but decided to take a shortcut. We went along a dead end. That's what we call a shortcut. There are old, abandoned warehouses there, and not far from there is a scrapyard of iron, and all around there are ravines. So we walk, laugh, tell scary stories in between, scaring each other. Suddenly, we hear a branch crunch somewhere nearby. It became scary, uneasy somehow. We immediately remembered that there was a forest plantation nearby, and wolves and foxes could run from there. The crunching continued. Something was really coming in our direction. I couldn't stand it and screamed, but quickly calmed down, and I just told my friend, "Let's run to the nearest warehouse, sit for a while, and then we'll go." She agreed, and we rushed to the closest warehouse. The doors were boarded up, and it felt like someone was following us. We rushed to look for a possible entrance and finally found one. One door was not boarded up, and we flew into the warehouse like a bullet, but it would have been better to not do that. It was damp and cold and just damn creepy. Suddenly, we heard the door we had just flown into that had creaked and let someone else in. Panic was immediate. My friend and I grabbed each other's hands and started running forward, even though there was a chance of getting lost. The building was huge, with tangled corridors. So we ran, and finally ran into some room with a ladder, either the roof or somewhere else. There was no time to figure it out, and we climbed there. We hid, sat without breathing. Our hands were icy. It was good that I did not put on heels. Suddenly we heard a rustle, and then quiet steps stealthily. My hair stood on end. Suddenly my friend said, "Look, there is something like a feeding trough. Should we hide there?" She did not have to wait long for an answer. We quietly crawled to this feeder, and only after climbing into it did I feel safe. The steps became closer, my heart was pounding. I did not want to look out of the feeding trough, but curiosity got the better of me. I looked out, and what I saw will forever remain in my memory. In the middle of this room stood a creature of medium height, all in fur. In the darkness you can't make it out, of course, but I made it out. It stood on two legs and sniffed, eyes empty, burning with a red fire. I caught his gaze. Did he really notice me? A step in our direction, and something, apparently, distracted him. I listened. Somewhere I could hear that a cheerful company was coming. He got up on all fours and ran towards the sound. My friend and I sat in the shelter for a long time. We were sleepy, and decided to take a nap. I woke up because my friend was waking me up. Opening my eyes, I shuddered. Behind her on the walls were some signs painted in red paint. She said, "We have to get out, otherwise they will look for us." We walked along dark corridors, shuddering from every rustle. We went out. The sun illuminated us. There was joy in our hearts that we were alive. At home they did not believe us and punished us for a long time. But walking around at night in this wasteland, what with the nights, even in the morning, it was no longer very pleasant, and I walked where everyone else was, and with large groups, every time. In a small town in northern Russia during the late 1990s, a tragedy occurred that shook the entire community to its core. The event was so horrific that even regional newspapers reported on it, though many details remain whispers and half-hidden. It began like any other day in a typical courtyard, surrounded by a 9-story apartment building. Children played football, hid and sought, and at night, they shared ghost stories, daring each other to summon the Queen of Spades. They were ordinary boys, unaware of the dark shadow that would soon to fall over them. Among them was Maxim, a deaf-mute boy who lived in one of the buildings with his grandmother. He did not attend school and rarely spoke, but he often ventured into the yard where the other children lived. The boys found him amusing. He could not respond with words, only moans and gestures. He looked at them with devotion, like a loyal dog, following their every move. Too young to understand compassion, the boys bullied Maxim relentlessly. They took his toys, stole his balls, threw stones and chestnuts at him, and mocked him mercilessly. Maxim never fought back. He laughed and clapped his hands, happy simply to be noticed and included, however cruelly. His grandmother scolded the boys when she could, but the parents were mostly absent during the day. Slowly, Maxim became a helpless plaything, a silent, obedient target for torment. Then, one day, 3 boys from the yard vanished, along with Maxim. The neighborhood erupted in panic. Police with dogs scoured the nearby wastelands and abandoned buildings. The following day, the missing children were discovered at the site of an abandoned gunpowder factory, about 1.5 miles away from their homes. A member of the police search team, speaking anonymously, revealed the grisly details. When we reached the factory grounds, the dog picked up a scent trail leading to one of the workshops. What we found inside was beyond belief. Body parts were scattered everywhere. The floor was soaked with blood. 3 boys had been torn apart. It seemed as if something had ripped them from limb to limb with bare hands. Blood was everywhere. Only Maxim remained whole. He was found in a corner, crouched with his back to the room, pants torn off, bruised all over, and eating. He had been eating them. Further investigation revealed that one of the boys had subjected Maxim to cruel acts. The shock must have triggered something unimaginable in the boy. To do what he did, he must have had inhuman strength. I quit the force a week later. I could not shake the image of his bloodied face turning toward me. He looked at me and smiled. This is the start of a truly unbelievable story that I am still trying to find answers to. Be summer of 8th grade. My all-female friend group. Looking back, I can see where people would think I was gay, and I find an abandoned house not too far off the road. We make plans to go and explore it the next day. We set off on our bikes to ransack that shit. When we get there, we notice it has yellow tape all over the door, but we don't care. Try to open the door. It's locked. Being the big alpha male I am, I kick the door open. It really only needed a firm push. It's a 2-story house with a very small second floor and what looks like a bird's nest tower on top. The first floor is covered in general debris and junk, mostly party trash and the gutted inside of the building. We explore the first floor and find nothing interesting. I'll climb up the ladder to the second floor. Questionable intellect female picks up some rubble and breaks a fucking window as soon as we are all up there. We all bash her ears in verbally for being an asshole. Ironic. We find 2 sleeping bags, a purse, and a large drink from a nearby gas station. Drink still has some kind of red drink in it. The girls start pillaging the aforementioned. I look in the corner and find $2. First one I pick up is odd looking, from the 1980s. It's about masks, occult to spoopy to stage masks, that kind of stuff. Kinda interested in it, but the other book catches my eye. It's a rather large paperback book, laying face down. Pick it up and turn it over, to find out it's a fucking paperback witchcraft book. Laugh a little bit, and tell the girls what I found. Might as well not exist. They are too preoccupied with their systematic destruction of the purse/living area. Open the book to a random page. 8th grade me has come face to face with a pentagram. The book doesn't have the telltale sign of being used before. Creased cover. Internally and tactically shit myself. Don't mention it to the girls and suggest we check out the backyard. I finally notice what they did to the purse and freak out a little bit. Don't let them know that though. They agree to check out the backyard. Try to fix what they broke when they're climbing down the ladder. Kind of hard to do when the entire purse is now covered in sticky red drink liquid. Fuck. When we all get outside, I lead the brave expedition to the backyard. As soon as I cross the threshold to the back, a deep, hoarse voice yells out, "Get out!" from inside the house. We all hear it. I've never run so fast before in my life. I ditch those assholes and pedal my ass off all the way to my house. R.I.P. alpha male. For obvious reasons, I cannot sleep that night. Holden poops and peeps because too afraid to leave my room. Finally can't stand it anymore and brave the unknown. 3:30ish a.m. Of course it was. On my way to the bathroom, I look outside the sliding glass door. Tall figure, about 8 to 9 feet tall, completely white. White suit, except for a red tie and possibly red buttons. It's staring at the sunrise. I stop in my tracks as if I am bewitched. Ooh. I can only logically think that the Slender Man is out to get me. But it can't be him because he's not real, and that suit is completely different. Rather snazzy suit, by the way. The figure begins to turn its shoulders and head towards me. No face. run to the bathroom, and hide out until 4 a.m. Second night of breaking into the house. Even more scared of going to sleep, pooping and peeing than before. Can't risk having parents find piss bottles though, so I have to risk going to the bathroom. Whoops. Extremely cautious on my journey to the loo. Nothing out of the ordinary, and decide to risk it. I must poo in loo. As soon as I am done letting the brown beast flow from between my cheeks, deep hoarse laughter coming from inside the house, more specifically the living room area. I have to walk through that area to get back to my room. Nope in the bathroom for a while. Hear my heavy ass door to the garage open up, ever so slightly. The door to the bathroom and the door to the garage are less than 1 inch from each other. They are real close, so any movement from either can be heard on the opposite side. It clicks open, then closed. I hear the small pitter-patter of what can only be described as a very light toddler running on wood. We had wood floors. If I hadn't shit prior, I would definitely be shitting now. Can't risk having to answer questions about why I was sleeping in the bathroom. Wish I chose that path, but didn't. Brave going back to my room. I am on high alert. See and hear nothing out of the norm. Go to bed and assume I'm just sleep deprived and hallucinating, even though it's never happened to me before. Feel the pitter-patter walk up to my door from the outside and look at my door. It cracks open just a little bit. Close my eyes and just pretend this isn't happening. Whatever opened the door started walking slowly and deliberately to the foot of my bed. I can hear and feel it walk to the foot of my bed. Neither of us moved for about half a minute. Without warning, it sits right by my feet. Whatever it was had enough mass to sink the mattress all the way down to the bed frame. I pull my feet up into the fetal position as fast as humanly possible. I felt the entire energy of that room change after I did that. The entity that sat by my feet got up as fast as I had pulled my feet up. I felt it speed walk out of my room. Night went on as if nothing happened. Somehow went to sleep. Forgot to mention that before I walked into my room, I looked out the windows to the front yard and saw a rake-like hand with a white suit jacket sleeve moving as if something was walking away from my house. Third night. Lucky freeze, am I right? Still spooked. Still need to pay. Still during the hour of 3 a.m. I might be stupid for going to the bathroom again, but what could possibly be worse than what already happened? I decide to risk it. It is darker than usual and everything is dead quiet. I make it to the bathroom without seeing or hearing anything. I open the bathroom door and turn on the light. In the mirror, instead of seeing my own reflection, I see the same entity that was standing on my porch looking at the sunset. Same white blank face, same white suit, and same red tie. I stand there for a second, and when I blink, the figure was gone. The figure was 8 to 9 feet tall in the mirror. It was my proportions. Nothing exactly spooky has happened since this occurred. At most, I felt things walk into my room, hang around for a little bit, and then walk out. I have no idea what this entity was, or why I was targeted so heavily. After a week had passed since the mirror incident, I asked my closer chick friend if she had anything happen to her after we went to the house. I didn't tell her a goddamn thing about what I saw. I mean, how could I? She tells me that she saw a tall white figure looking at her through her mirror in the corner of the room. She didn't take part in the destruction of property. She just watched. I asked the 2 girls who did fuck shit up if anything happened to them. Again, I did not tell them shit about what happened to me. They both told me this of their own accord. They both told me that something white had banged on their door and ran around their house. They saw it through the windows running around. Can and anon identify what I saw or give me some kind of explanation. This all happened in Arkansas in a small country town. It started out as just a fun idea. Me, Jeff, and Hunter, all in our 20s, wanted to escape the usual boring routine of work, school, and city noise. We were tired of everything, so we decided to go camping for the weekend, just the 3 of us, a campfire, and some time in the woods. We found a quiet spot deep in the forest where, as far as we could tell, no one else was camping. Okay, this is our spot, I told Jeff and Hunter, and they agreed. We set up our tent in a small clearing surrounded by tall trees. The sun was setting, and the sky turned dark. It was peaceful, serene, like we had the whole world to ourselves. We built a campfire and cooked some hot dogs and burgers. It wasn't fancy, but just being out there with my friends felt amazing. We laughed, told stupid stories, and soaked up the cool night air and the crackling fire. But then, things started to shift. I was sitting by the fire, poking at the logs, when I heard something. At first, it was the usual forest sounds. Twigs snapping, leaves rustling, normal stuff you expect in the woods. Then I heard footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Definitely not animals. My heart jumped. I whispered to Jeff and Hunter, "Hey, did you guys hear that?" Jeff looked up from his phone, tense. "Yeah, that's not an animal." Hunter squinted into the darkness. "Probably just hikers, don't worry." But none of us sounded convinced. Before we could say anything else, 3 large figures emerged from behind the trees. I froze. These weren't hikers. They were rough-looking, dirty men, like something out of a backwoods horror movie. Late 40s to mid-50s, with rotten teeth or no teeth at all, long unkempt beards, and torn clothes. They didn't say a word to us at first, just stared at us like we were intruders. Then the biggest one looked us over, licked his lips and said, "Alright boys, which one do y'all want?" The second one said, "I want the blonde one with the glasses." That was Hunter. My stomach dropped, and I almost vomited. Hunter was petrified. Jeff, though, stood straight up, no fear on his face. Jeff was older, 23, while Hunter and I were just 21, and Jeff was kind of the alpha of our group. He is the one who usually stays calm in crazy situations. I knew he was thinking fast. One of the men stepped forward. "You boys got 2 options. Come willingly, or try to run. But you won't get far out here." Then, without warning, Jeff took off running. He dashed to our tent, grabbed his bag, and came back, holding a gun, probably a Glock, but I don't really remember. "Sorry guys, didn't mean to leave you, but this was the only way we're getting out of here," he said, glaring at the men. "We're leaving, and if you try anything, I'll kill you right here." My mind was racing. Where did Jeff get that gun? But I didn't care. I was just glad he brought it along. Then the men smiled and laughed. "You think there's only 3 of us out here?" one said. I was officially shitting bricks. I screamed at Jeff, shoot around them, get us out of here." Suddenly, one of the hillbillies pulled out a duck call and blew into it. Footsteps came running toward us, at least 5 more people. Jeff started shooting at the ground near their feet and told Hunter and me to run. We left everything behind and sprinted for our car. On the way, Hunter tripped and lost his glasses. We finally made it to the car, which thankfully started right up. No slashed tires or anything. We drove off as fast as we could. On the way home, I asked Jeff why he never told us he brought a gun. "I didn't want you guys to freak out," he said. "You never know what could happen in the woods at night. If I didn't have it, we might not be here now." We ended up crashing at Jeff's apartment, too scared to go home. We stayed up all night trying to make sense of what happened. We have no idea who the men were. We joked that they were some kind of cannibal hillbilly cult, but it sounded crazy. Still, they wanted us for something. We tried looking up reviews and warnings about the forest, but found nothing. Just found some Facebook posts warning others to stay away. Most people didn't believe us when we told them what happened. Maybe you won't either. But this really happened. If Jeff hadn't acted fast and stood his ground, who knows what would have happened. I am just glad I'm alive, and definitely glad I didn't end up in someone's stew. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you do and you want to hear more, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below, as it lets the algorithm know that you like my content and it promotes it to more people. My goal for the channel is to hit 50,000 subscribers, and we're closing in fast, so thank you, and back to the stories. Be me, driving back from Maine to Mass on Christmas Eve morning, about 2 a.m. It was the year 2016. Drove an old Volvo, so I tried to avoid holiday traffic, figuring it would be the smoothest ride. It was, until I reached the toll booth. Waited for a solid minute straight. The teller was like she was turned off, until she casually turned and took my change without a word. Okay, am I in some sort of Twilight Zone episode? No, she must just be depressed or something, I guess. I kept on driving, with an increasing uneasiness. I was paying attention to the road more than ever in pure gut feeling when I see a car pulled over on the breakdown by Lowell, Mass. First sign that something was wrong. It was slightly sticking out, right on the white line. I turn and see the lights in the fast lane approaching me. I was in the middle. I hit the brakes as quickly as I could. A flatbed stopped dead in the middle of the fast lane on 495 at 2 in the morning. I passed by going about 5 miles per hour. I see a woman. She was hysterical. I see what was a man, his boots literally knocked off. He looked as stiff as a nutcracker. I see 2 other men. One driver that hit him, the other the flatbed driver, both standing in the highway at night in utter shock. I pull over and a white box truck does behind me as well. I call 911. There's an emergency on 495. We know. We are sending assistance now. No, you don't understand. There is a dead body in the highway and 3 other people standing over it. Understood. Sending all available. Click. Well, fuck. I happened to have a neon shirt I was using for a Halloween costume and had a spare trunk blanket I had not opened. I walk over to the scene, well aware that it was a fucking highway at 2 in the morning. I was blank. She was still in disbelief he was dead. Man who hit him said this, "For the love of God, does anyone have a blanket?" I toss in my blanket. A car going 60 miles per hour drives between us. Fuck, this is still a live highway. I take the shirt and start flagging down cars, asking for a road flare. Everyone passed out of sheer horror of the scene, but it was stopping traffic into a jam. I see lights. I turn to walk away and the box truck driver grabs me. Trucker Anon says this, "Don't step in that. Bad time to walk your dog, right?" I see a big white pit bull, stomach ripped open and its entrails strewed across the road. I got into my car before I had to answer any questions and just drove home. Merry Christmas, although I was quite humbled by it, I guess. Here is the article all about it. Okay, so I was a little confused what happened, so let me read the news article. Bradford man 49 dies after being struck by pickup in Massachusetts. Lowell, Massachusetts. Early Christmas Eve morning, a Maine man died in a crash involving a pickup truck and a pedestrian in Lowell, Massachusetts. Police say around 3:20 a.m., a Ford pickup was traveling on Route 495 southbound, south exit of 37, when it collided with a 39-year-old man from Bradford, Maine, who was in the second travel lane of the roadway. As a result of that collision, the pedestrian was pronounced deceased at the scene. The operator of the pickup, a 61-year-old man from Chelmsford, Massachusetts, was brought to Lowell General Hospital for treatment of minor injuries. The crash remains under investigation. Part of that investigation will include determining why the pedestrian, whose vehicle was located in the breakdown lane nearby, was in the travel part of the road. There was a deceased dog in the roadway, indicating the pedestrian may have been attempting to retrieve the dog. No charges have been filed at this time, so yeah, I guess. Fuck. In the summer of 2010, I ended up in Hardinsburg, Kentucky for my grandmother's funeral. The only other time I had been up there was when I had been younger, and it was so that my grandfather could be the priest for my dad's current marriage. Anyways, I was in Kentucky for 5 or 6 days, and spent every night at my cousin/aunt's. I am not really sure which she is. Of the grandchildren who were grown up, I was the youngest, and ended up on babysitting duty for the majority of the time up there. I stayed in a little trailer at the top of a hillock, along with a bunch of my younger cousins. During the day, everyone would go over to my granddad's and leave me there with the kids, and then come home for a few hours and put the kids to bed before heading back out to go and do God knows what. I stayed up pretty late on the last night that we were there. The kids were in bed and I had the place to myself for quite a while, so I figured I would go and sit on the porch, enjoying a cigarette. As I walked out of the door, there was this god-awful stench. It was a metallic/shitty smell that is really hard to describe, but I am sure that if you have smelt it before, you know what I am saying. It was just this gross-ass stench that hit me like a ton of bricks when I got outside. I started gagging and walked down the stairs of the trailer, thinking I would get some fresh air off the porch. As I got down, I saw in the moonlight what looked like one of my younger cousins, Aiden. He was just kind of standing there, with his back to me, a good 50 feet away from the trailer. I yelled out to the little kid that he needed to get back inside, or his mama would flay him alive. But he just kept standing there. I kept hollering and walked up to him, and as I got closer, I noticed he seemed kind of off. He was standing, but he had his knees bent at weird angles to each other, and his head was cocked to the side a little bit. I tapped him on the shoulder and he turned around. Aiden had this crazy, manic smile on his face, and sweat was just pouring off of his little forehead. He started shaking, and it took me a moment to realize that he was laughing, because there was no sound coming out. I tried to pick him up and carry him inside so I could look at him in some decent light and make sure that he was all okay, but he must have backstepped as I tried to get him. I snatched at him again and caught him, and he just started screaming in this really freaky guttural voice that I didn't even realize he could possibly make. It was just way too deep and gruff for a 5-year-old to make. While he was screaming, he was also flailing his arms and legs around. He ended up making contact with my groin, so I dropped him, and he ran off towards the trailer. I sat there hunched over for a moment, getting some air, before running up after him. He was gone when I looked up, so I ran inside hoping he would be there waiting for me in the living room. Well, he wasn't, but after some looking around, I found him passed out in the top bunk of his bunk bed. I was confused as shit, but I was not going to wake him up, and I just decided I would let his mom know about it when she got home. When my aunt got home a few hours later, I told her about it, and she woke up Aiden to ask about it. He had no clue whatsoever what we were talking about, and we ended up sending him back to bed after giving him some juice. My aunt thinks I must have had some crazy vivid dream and made it all up, but the next morning, while I was loading my stuff up into the trunk, I smelt that gross smell, and I would have sworn I saw Aiden darting underneath the trailer. Had he not walked out the front door a split second later, along with the rest of the family, I would have chased after him, but I just told myself I was imagining things, and didn't say anything to my family. This is the only spooky thing that has ever happened to me. Be about 15 years old-ish, hanging out with 3 friends at the beach. Not summer, we just hung out at this shitty beach all the time. Some houses along the coast, all old and pretty spread apart. One house is abandoned, all boarded up and derelict. Decide to chill in there and drink. In through the window. Up to next floor, chilling in some big empty bedroom. Hanging out, chatting, drinking some weak-ass beer and feeling badass. House is almost completely dark, all windows covered, no lights work, using just a single flashlight as our light source. Suddenly hear footsteps downstairs. We each proceed to shit ourselves, staring at each other in the dark, terrified we'll get in trouble for being there. Hear footsteps slowly come up the stairs. Continue to shit ourselves. Someone shuts off the flashlight so we are not seen. Hear steps going across this floor, right in front of our closed door. Steps don't slow down, just go on right past our door and proceed to go upstairs. We hear each step up. Footsteps stop. We sit in silence for about 2 minutes, then start whispering at each other. For some dumb-ass reason, decide to follow the steps up. For some dumb-ass reason, I end up in front. We go upstairs, my hands are shaking like fuck holding the flashlight. The top floor is just one room, doors closed. I gather my courage, which is mainly fueled by me not wanting to look like a bitch. I open the door and we see nothing. No one's there. We search the whole room, quickly getting cocky. No furniture, no weird secret doors, no possible way someone else could be in there with us. Tension is broken, but we quickly realize what just happened and nope the fuck out of there. We still talk about this if I'm ever drinking with any of these guys. To this day, we have no reasonable explanation. We all heard it. Someone was definitely in the house, and there is no possible way that they could have left that room without us hearing them on the way down.